think that one of the greatest things I ever learned or have learned in the past couple of years, probably how not to make a TV show or how to not make films. Like, that sounds weird saying it like that, but like, I mean it in the sense of, I've made a couple things now. Made a couple shorts. I made a web series called Command up on YouTube now. Season 1 is there. And in that, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've genuinely made some stuff that's not good. There's some stuff even in Command Season 1 that I feel like we could have done 10 times better. And I'm not even talking about with like $1 million added to the budget. I'm talking about with the very small budget we had. There are so many elements I feel like I could have done better. But like in that, it's because I've grown. Like I think it's, that used to weigh on me. I remember when we put out Command Season 1 and it was all out. I remember there was a sense of, honestly, shame. I felt like it didn't meet my expectations, and there was a part of me that like didn't want to show people because like I knew I could do better. Like it was like kind of in a sense like coming home from school and like there was a test that you got a C on and showing your parents, and like there's a sense of shame because you could have done it a little bit better, and even if you knew you could have just studied a little bit harder and you would have gotten the A or you would have gotten a B or whatever. I'm not saying that Command's a C. I'm not giving a rating. Like obviously, like, I'll always give Command like its best grade, but I think it's also important to admit, your faults and give a sense of like there could have been elements in that could have been way better, and I think in that it's like how you grow. So I kind of wanted to like talk about honestly how not to make a TV show and the elements I've taken from my mistakes and how to do better. So one thing that I learned, or sometimes am still learning or have to remind myself, is to not to overcomplicate things. I think, I had a big problem in college. We used to make films in college, and I always wanted these like really grand and complex plots. I think that's why I like lean to TV and making web series, because you can just have so many characters and plot lines, and like that's always the things that engaged me as a kid was like thick stories. But when you're making projects with low budgets and you have a time limit of 10 minutes, like it doesn't really lend itself to complex stories. And I mean that in the way where like Command Season 1, I think I really love the basic plot of Command Season 1. It's a guy down on his luck, life is shit, gets the ability to control people, wants to turn his life around, but it doesn't go the way he thinks. Great. Pull me in, interested. And I think that's why Command Season 1, I feel like we could have leaned into that simple energy more than trying to make it complex. Like I think and when John and I were making that, I think we were very excited for it to happen, for it to be something really cool and awesome. And I think we focused a little bit more on the spectacle of it than the simple plot of this series. And I think the one of our fan favorite episodes is episode 3, and there at the time John and I think that was our least favorite episode. Not that it was bad, but we were like, oh, there's so much more spectacle and interest in all the other ones. But episode 3, the funny thing about that, or that's the episode where Ronnie has the power, has a goal to get money, he has the obstacle, overcomes the obstacle, gets the money, has fun interactions throughout, and it's the most simple episode. And I think that is a better gateway for people. And I think it took us a minute to realize that, like, oh shit, like, obviously people love complex plot, but I think in order to like get into and engage in a story, sometimes you need that simple beginning. And sometimes I have to remind myself to this day where it's like, oh, okay, like we don't need like, you know, 10 pages of lore of like where this power came from and like, you know, the history of every character. Like obviously people will get into that, and if they want that, that'll come. But I think if we're making a web series and each episode's 10 minutes, I think it's about having that those simple beats and then building to it, building to the more complex stuff instead of just like kind of dumping it all on one person, or dumping it all on the person being like, oh yeah, this is this storyline will, like, you know, foreshadow this. Like John and I were really big on like foreshadowing things that may happen or going to happen, and like we're like, hey, like who's Ronnie as a character, and like what does he want? I think another big element was sound. Like I think we didn't cherish the importance of sound in your show. Like that's what keeps people engaged. Like, you know, I could, you know, make command with a shitty camcorder, and that is less likely to throw people off than if it just has bad sound. And, you know, as someone that went to film school, you think it'd be obvious, but like it's something I had to learn, where throughout season 1 of Command, like the sound quality is up and down, and it's very distracting. And it's like, you know, sometimes in post you're kind of have the mind of like, oh, I can enhance this later on, but not only is that like expensive to some degree, but also it never will hit as getting good sound. And we didn't prioritize that in season 1. Like obviously we wanted to get sound to make sure it was decent, but we weren't getting a professional mixer or even someone that just knew their way around sound. We were just like having friends hold the boom pole and like press press record on the lavs. Like it really was very simple. And sometimes like in that element of filmmaking, sometimes I try to tell myself not to get too caught up in the technical of it, because sometimes that stops you from just making something. But I think if you want to get something really good, or make something so at least a person can feel immersed in it, it is getting decent sound. You can sacrifice great visual effects and you know, makeup and wardrobe, and you can sacrifice a lot of elements, but if you have a base good sound and camera work, I think you really have basic sound, camera work, and good acting. I think you have something that's at least watchable, you know. So I had to learn that. I mean, we had to learn the importance of you know, sound, especially, you know, keeping that quality throughout a 8-episode series. I think we also had to learn, you know, how to keep an audience engaged, keep them engaged and excited throughout, and what resonates with people. And I think, like I said, John and I always lean towards spectacle. And I think we have to be like, okay, we don't need 10 fight scenes throughout the series. Like, I think it's about character moments. Like, those are things, like, after Command Season 1, those people, the things people came to us and like, hey, I love that moment between Ronnie and Gramps where they're just having a conversation, like a heart-to-heart. And I think that's when you're like, oh, yeah, we love those scenes too, but sometimes we're like, oh, people are bored. Should we, like, throw in, like, a big chase scene? And, like, those are really fun. I think those are elements that just make me and John, as collaborators who we are, as having those action scenes. But I think also I have to remind myself that, you know, character drives a story. It's why, like, you know, in TV, like, you know, they, you know, in their own way have a way lower budget than a big feature. So there are, like, just a lot of important dialogue and character moments that aren't driven by, like, action and, like, you know, big spectacles, because they are working with a budget. But also, that's what people come back for. They come back for the drama, the character moments of between the leads or side characters, and plots unraveling. Like, you know, the spectacle is always great, but I think it's like a cherry. Like, you know, our sundae has to be formed before, it can't just be a bowl of cherries. I think then you kind of lose the point a little bit. There's a lot in season 1 that I'm really proud of. So much so that I think that's why, like, things that aren't good sting more, because I'm like, oh, this could be so great if we just focused on getting better sound, if we didn't make the plot so complex. I think you know, in making season one, John and I, or not to speak for him, but I was so focused on like, all right, how will this build to another season if we do it, instead of just making a really great first season. And I think having just a solid flow between episodes should be more focused than building a universe. Like it's the whole this whole Marvel problem, where like you watch a Marvel movie nowadays and you have to like see four other things, or they spend more time building on to the next movie or building off of another movie than just focusing on the story they want to tell, which is why people fall in love with them originally. So it's like I've had that criticism of Marvel for years, and like to see myself do it, I'm like, oh, okay, I get how that happens, how you get caught up in the spectacle of it and not just like making great relatable characters. It takes a lot of work to make a movie, a film, a TV show, like a lot of hard work, and it takes an insane amount of work to make a bad show and 10 times that to make a good show. But I do feel like from the experience of messing up, I am able to get that much closer to making something really good. That being said, in keeping things simple, we are working on Command Season 2. We've been filming since early this year, February. We're going to be done filming. It'll be a year. We'll have done a full year of filming by the time we wrap, because, we did learn from that. We are making something really exciting and cool with 20-minute episodes instead of 10, so we can keep that complex plot. No, no, we did learn, and I think the episodes are going to be longer, but I think that's to do the story one justice and knowing that we needed a little bit more time. And I think it's going to be really exciting. I think we have a lot of strong and fun characters. I think there are a lot of elements that are going to make it really wonderful. So yeah, if you can, check it out. Watch season 1. Tell me what you loved about it. Tell me what you hated about it. But also, like, get excited for season 2, because I think we course corrected a lot. We were able to take our... we were better able to use our resources. Like, at season 1, I think, we struggle with how to use our resources for being low budget, not really having money. But I think this season feels really good about how we took what we had and made the most of it, and made something really fun and complicated, but also focus on delivering great and exciting characters. But yeah, let me know if you enjoy this video. Like me talking about TV shows. I love talking about TV. I love talking about making TV because it's such a fun element in my life. So yeah. More to come.